Hello and welcome to Cool Stuff by Simplified. I'm Gurjot
And I'm Michael.
and this is episode 1.
Cool Stuff is a new series where we speak to cool stuff. Cool people who've done cool stuff. In this first episode, we spoke to Audrey Cheng. She's an entrepreneur who left her comfortable job in the US, went to Kenya, and founded a coding school.
At the age of 22, and that's how she got featured on the Forbes 30 under 30 list.
She shared with us her story and gave some awesome advice for aspiring entrepreneurs. Okay, so based on your profile, we see that you went to Kenya and created a school. So you left your hometown in the United States and you just went to create a school in Kenya. Why Kenya?
So Kenya was sort of by luck, to be honest. I was still in school in Chicago, and I was studying journalism and global health, and I was really excited about this idea of like entrepreneurship, right? Because at that time in Chicago, there was like a startup hub called 1871 that was just created. So I was working with them a lot, and I was really excited about this idea of bringing a hub like that to an emerging market and allowing entrepreneurs in different markets to solve their own problems, rather than having the traditional NGOs and nonprofits kind of come from the West and tell local entrepreneurs how to solve their problems. So I became really excited about this. Somehow found out about Savannah Fund and realized that someone was already doing the work that I kind of set my life to do. So I reached out to Savannah Fund, started working with them first as an intern and then eventually as an associate for the venture capital firm in Kenya. And then that's what led me to Moringa School.
What was the local perception like? Because at the end of the day, you are a Westerner coming to their country and telling them how to do stuff.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that I've always tried to do is have a good understanding of what are kind of just like universal truths or like universal knowledge. So if we're talking about like a business plan, right? Like what are the key components that companies need to have? But more so than that, I came in with a really a really important open mind, which allowed me to ask entrepreneurs questions about about their own struggles with the companies, about like local nuances that I didn't quite understand, and then work together to help them solve that. So I never really told entrepreneurs what to do. I just told them, like, as a fund, like, here are like certain metrics that we're looking for, but also, what can I do to help support them if they're like, if they have certain challenges. So
Now, how do you train these people to become entrepreneurs?
so Savannah Fund was a venture capital firm. So we ran an accelerator, and we had so when I was there with their second accelerator, they had a startup from Nigeria, a startup from Ghana, and another one from Kenya. So I was really working with these startups the most. Outside of them, of course, people would always come by our office and pitch to us or ask us for advice on certain things, and I would try to help as I could.
So I was looking at your website, moringaschool.com, if anyone's wondering. And I see you train people in programming and you have a very high hiring rate as well. How did you come about to choosing programming as a skill instead of some other skills?
Sure. So Moringa School's like ultimate vision is to transform higher education. So eventually we do want to go beyond software engineering, but the reason why we chose coding first was just because it is a relatively low hanging fruit in terms of the amount of like resources available and the amount of people working on this problem. So we started with coding because as I was supporting the tech entrepreneurs, I realized that it wasn't like the lack of passion or the lack of clarity in their vision and mission that the entrepreneurs lacked, but truly a huge problem that they were facing was the lack of skill, right? So either with themselves or with the developers that they were trying to hire, right? And the developers, they're building the product that they're selling. So all I was thinking about was how do we ensure that all of this excitement around Silicon Savannah, it doesn't just come and go, but rather that these entrepreneurs, and they're able to hire really strong developers that will only help them grow their companies, and also grow the economy.
And does it come across as cheap employees? Because that's what happens with India and other developers in the third world. They're just cheap to hire. Is that the same perception with hiring people from your schools?
Yeah, so we definitely try to ensure that we're producing really high quality developers. I know I also used to I did a fellowship in San Francisco, and one of my projects was to help one of the engineering teams figure out, if they should be outsourcing to India or Ukraine or another country, or if we should hire more developers in house. And actually, kind of, with the engineers' experience, they actually realized that a lot of the code that Indian engineers and like these like huge, massive dev shops build, they're actually what we call spaghetti
Yeah.
code. So usually like they function, but they're just kind of
Yeah.
everywhere. It's really hard to track, and really hard to go back and make changes. So with what we're doing at Moringa School, really focus on getting these people to a global standard. So even our CTO, she comes from Silicon Valley as well, and she used to work for Hack Reactor, which is like, in my opinion, like the leading coding school in the world. And then so now she's here in Kenya to work with us as well.
Now, what does it take once you have these skills? Like in this university environment where we are, we've got an awesome computer science program, and we've got all these people with amazing coding skills and understanding of algorithms. But what does it take to take that one extra step to become an actual entrepreneur and create your own project?
Knowing the theory and knowing the bigger picture of software engineering is really important. But I think one thing that is missing, especially in Kenyan universities and universities across Africa and the world, and why these coding bootcamps are so important, is truly the practical skills that people need in order to get jobs. So a lot of what we're doing is bridging that gap between university graduates and their need to find a job after graduation.
So kind of your boot camp is like training people with a theoretical background to actually use their skills in the real world.
Exactly, yeah, with a theoretical background, or we also have the occasional like high school graduate that comes through our course as well, and is still able to find employment.
How did your parents react when you told them, I'm going to go to Africa and set up a school?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think I'm actually really lucky because there's really nothing holding me back from the U.S. So like when I was going through university, I always had this like feeling that I wanted to do something really big, right? I wanted to do something that was going to change the world, and I didn't want to go into like a corporate first before I could go and do that. So I was really driven by this kind of rush to want to find like this thing that I wanted to do. So when I got the opportunity to come out to Kenya, I went forward with it and came out. I think choosing certain opportunities that really pushed myself out of my comfort zone and allowed me to see other possibilities was really, really important to me. So it actually wasn't that hard for me to come out here and eventually start Moringa as well, because it just aligns really well with my values. I grew up Buddhist, so I think that definitely helps a lot in terms of, yeah.
Wait, what do you mean it helped a lot from Buddhism?
Yeah, so I think Buddhism, especially like the kind of volunteer work and other stuff I was doing, back in the U.S. for this like Buddhist organization called Suji, was just like super impactful because it made me realize that I could be spending my days doing something that was actually going to make the world better like every single day. And I just didn't want to compromise on that, and I didn't want to wait to do that, And I saw a lot of people who worked for like 30, 40 years and like had like a quarter life crisis and was like, oh crap, I actually need to like instead of like make all this money, which at some point you kind of wondered why. So I kind of took the lessons from people that have like lived life a lot longer than me and try to apply that to my current life. And also my parents. So my mom is a Buddhist nun, and my dad has since passed away. So like I also didn't really have like too much holding me back from the U.S.
You've been in Africa for like 2 years now or more.
2.5 years.
Two
Yeah.
and a half years. And what's the I don't know, strangest thing that you've noticed since coming here? A cultural difference or anything? What's the strangest thing you've come across? Something you did not actually ever expect to see.
Interesting. So in Kenyan culture, especially to do business, I think this is like pretty similar in other emerging markets, but there definitely is this need to like like sit down and like get to know each other before we talk about any partnership or any business deal that we're gonna do. And coming from the U.S., where everything's about like go 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 and like efficiency, um, it was sort of like a jarring experience. Yeah, because I was so used to just picking up the phone and like calling someone, getting something done, and moving on. But I think being in Kenya has been really great because it taught me to really value like, hey, like, well, while I am doing this for the impact and I am doing this to create really incredible opportunities for our students and our alumni. At the same time, like everyone that I work with and everyone that I interact with is also a human. So I need to be more respectful and treat them as such. So yeah, so I think that was a pretty good learning experience.
I'm sure you face decisions as monumental as being the club president or going to Kenya. Even, even right now in your work, how do you deal with these decisions? What do you do? Does coming from a Buddhist background help? Do you just meditate and kind of chill yourself, calm yourself down, and then take a decision? What do you do?
Yeah. So I think really knowing clearly what my values are and ensuring that all of my decisions are aligning well with those values, I think has really helped me. In the beginning, of course, we've had to make a ton of really hard decisions, and it hasn't been like a really smooth path. Like where we are today is like actually pretty solid, and we're on a really strong growth path. But even like last year, we had so many different challenges that really made me feel like, okay, like like is this really going to survive? So I think just understanding like, okay, like am I happy spending my days doing this? And of course, not making as much money as I would back in the U.S. And is that actually feasible? Or am I really just burning myself out? So I think just kind of staying attuned with my values. Of course, like you mentioned, meditating, which is really important, which I don't do enough. But also just being in touch with like the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah.
Do you like it in Kenya? Apart from the work, do you just like the place? What's the food like?
Yeah, Kenya's great. There's a lot of like really exciting trips to take outside of Nairobi. A lot of really interesting, really good people. My team like is just full of really incredible and like inspiring people. So like really enjoy working with them. Food, we have like this like flat like bread thing called chapati, which is really good. People eat a lot of meat here, which is hard because I'm vegetarian, so it's like does not make sense. But yeah, I mean like this, it's worth the trip out. So yeah, so you guys should definitely think about coming out sometime.
You've got a team. You mentioned your team. You've got a great team. And do you, is it just people not from Kenya who are running your organization, or do you also have people you've assimilated from the local neighborhood?
Yeah, so minus me and our CTO, the rest of our team is Kenyan. Yeah.
Oh, that's very good.
Wow.
I mean, I think that just adds credibility to your work because then it doesn't feel like, ah, for the lack of a better analogy, the East India Company coming to India and telling us what to do back in the 1800s.
Yeah. And actually, I mean, the way I think about our work is that it is skills development, right? And I think a lot of skills development, like there is a big opportunity for, for people who come from like different environments to come in and do skills development, like and do it really well. But I really view the work that we're doing as creating more jobs and actually creating more opportunity rather than taking away jobs. And that being said, I mean, I know there's a ton of focus on people, locally who like start their own companies. But something I think about a lot is that, the US, hopefully in the future as well, but up until today, that the US is a country that's built on immigrants, right? And it, even Steve Jobs' dad, right? Like all these
Yeah.
people, like really incredible business owners, more likely than not, were immigrants. And I think the exciting part about countries being more open about like their visas and supporting foreign entrepreneurs, is that can actually help drive their economy.
Considering you're creating a new form of education, what do you think the 21st century high school should look like?
Oh, the high school or university?
The high school and university. What do you think the education of the future should be like?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I think the education in the future should be a lot more hands-on, and I think it also needs to match, like students of today's like own schedules and own energy levels, which I know sounds a little bit like what is that? But it is really important that we're not regimenting students to like 30 to 15-minute classes, like going to class and then going to your next class and going to your next class. When in reality, like our brains, our imagination, our creativity doesn't work that way, right? We can't regiment our creativity in like 15-minute chunks. So I think secondary schools need to really be a lot more hands-on. They need to help students understand like what dent do they want to make in the universe. And I also feel like as they move into university, students need to choose universities not based off of like this name brand, because having gone to like a supposedly great university myself, there's still like many flaws in it, right? But because I came from a good university, like naturally that just gives me more opportunities, which I personally, like having started Moringa School, I really don't like. So I think universities need to be more about creating missions and not majors. So instead of people saying, hey, I'm gonna major in computer science, right? Oftentimes I ask them why, right? Like what do you want to do with that? Like what is your goal? Right. And someone might say, oh, I want to build like this spot, right? And to solve this healthcare problem. So oftentimes, like it goes beyond just knowing how to code, right? It's like, okay, if you want to solve this healthcare problem, right? What do you need to know in healthcare in order to solve that problem, right? What experiences do you need to have in order to help you understand like what solutions would actually work to solve that problem? So I think universities really need to be more forward thinking. I think they need to challenge this like 4-year term. So like 4 years of undergrad, maybe 4 years of master's, and really ask themselves like, why is it 4 years, right? Like, is 4 years actually necessary in order to foster a really strong student base and a student base that will be guaranteed success in the future? And then also, why 4 years of master's, right? I think higher ed is a really antiquated system, and it really needs to be challenged.
Mm-hmm. I really like what you just said, creating missions and not majors. I like that. But I have, so when you said that high schools should focus more on the hands skills, more vocational skills, uh, isn't that in a way going back to what school education used to be many decades ago? It was more vocational. People just learned skills that were relevant to getting employed in the economic system prevalent at that time. Today, that skill could be coding or entrepreneurship. Do you feel the same way?
Well, I think universities have an opportunity to really go beyond that. So I think one thing that's really great about universities is that they have like research resources, right? And they're also surrounded by some of like the smartest people in a country. And I think it's not really just about vocational, right? Because even what we're thinking about doing with Moringa School, it goes beyond just skills training for the job. But it really goes into how do we build very holistic, like critical thinkers and leaders who will be nimble enough to be able to move from like one problem to another, and will be able to solve going from point A to point B in a variety of like different like situations. So yeah, it really does go beyond just like the crafts of the work.
Could you elaborate a bit on what are these holistic skills that you focus on apart from just teaching programming?
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of talk about like emotional intelligence. And I think more so than anything, what I've learned even with like, Moringa School hires, like when we hire people, hiring people that are very emotionally intelligent oftentimes is even better than hiring someone that has more skills.
Mm-hmm.
So there's what we call meta skills, right? With, communication, with teamwork, with all this stuff. And I know it sounds really buzzwordy, but in practice, it's actually really hard. Right. So how do you deal with conflict, like personally and also at work, right? And like, in what way are we showing up at work that influences people around us? So I think, working with the students to really challenge themselves who they are, and how they come out is really important.
Hmm.
For us currently in the educational system, the way it is currently, even though it might not be optimal or futuristic, how can we educate ourselves to become better critical thinkers or to develop our emotional intelligence?
Yeah. So I would say that the learning is outside the classroom, and I've always believed that, even when I was at university. So if we're so focused on going to class, and of course going to class is important, but we're so focused on getting that A in class, right? And like really just like putting our heads down and reading books all the time. Reading books is really important, but there needs to be like a variety of books that we read, and also outside of that, I think like challenging ourselves to experience new and very different things is extremely important. So like if you have the option of like a safer, more comfortable choice versus something that you believe is really gonna push you out of your comfort zone, right? Taking that choice will actually help a person realize like, oh wow, like this is how emotionally intelligent I really am in the workplace, right? Or this is how I really deal with conflict, and then slowly being able to learn more about ourselves so that we can also grow and become better.
What are some daily habits you have that keep you happy in an environment that's somewhat foreign and I guess uncomfortable, at least at the beginning, and keeps you
Um,
making rational decisions?
oh man.
Do you Snapchat?
So not Snapchat. Honestly, social media is one of the most stressful things to me, and I actually don't enjoy it so much.
Okay.
Let me think. I like engaging in like in philosophical or like deep conversations that challenge me outside of work. And I think that really keeps me grounded because it gives me like the bigger picture of like what's happening in the world and my role in it. So that really keeps me grounded. I think like small little routines obviously keep me grounded. So something a little bit weird is that I from this like local like shop, I like order fruit salad every day, which
Oh,
is great, and it keeps me healthy. And generally my schedule is so chaotic and like so random that it's like the one thing that I have that's like always gonna come. And it just kind of like keeps me like centered, which again sounds really weird, but it does. I don't know. Honestly, we at Moringa School on Mondays and Thursdays we have yoga. So I've been trying to go to that more this year, and that's been really great. So yeah, so just trying to keep like my mind happy, my spirit happy. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And I'm sure you've met a lot of other social entrepreneurs or just people who are making a difference. Has there been a specific incident that's really inspired you or given you like a new view on things that you want to do?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely get inspired by the little things in life. So I definitely don't look for like titles and stuff like that to really get excited. Um, I don't know. I honestly, maybe this is like me coming from. So I studied journalism in university. So back when I was writing and publishing a lot, I would interview a lot of like really big people. Like I remember I interviewed Joe Biden once, and I also interviewed like like the education secretary. And like both are like obviously really cool experiences. But what I've learned over time is that people are just people, and we all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses, we all have our vices and virtues and flaws. So no matter like how old someone is, how experienced they are, we're all suffering and we're all going through a lot. So again, maybe it comes to my Buddhist side, but it's yeah, I don't really feel like I get inspired necessarily like just by like something on paper, but rather just like in like conversations with friends or in yeah, in just like small moments. Yeah.
Yeah, you said you interviewed Joe Biden. Have you seen the Biden bro memes online?
Of course.
wait, guys, I'm not following exactly.
Well, you don't know. So, Barack Obama and Joe Biden, they have this bromance going, and there's this thing called the Biden bro meme. He like Biden's got Obama's back, and that's the funniest meme to have come out of the internet in the last few years.
Yeah. Hopefully that continues while even after the president. university. So.
Yeah.
How do you see Moringa School in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, so this year Moringa School, we're expanding one of our courses. So our Moringa Prep, like Intro to Programming course, we're expanding that to Ghana, to Tanzania, and also to South Africa, and hopefully to Ivory Coast. So in the next 5 to 10 years, we definitely see ourselves being in more locations permanently, and also teaching more skills. So really continuing to bridge that skills gap between university and the workforce.
Really fun to listen to you and get your perspective on things. I'll ask you one last question, and this is something we ask everyone we interview,
Sure.
just to get an idea of what's about them. What's on your bookmarks bar on your browser?
Yeah, the better question should be how often I actually check my bookmarks bar. Um,
Tell us what's actually on it. You could just tell us, do you have lots of bookmarks or do you just have, I don't know, two?
oh my goodness, I have a crazy amount of bookmarks, and I have this one book to read, like things to go back and read. So I have anything from like poems to like SEO to like business strategy to like different different mental models. So like just a lot of things that I'm just really interested in learning about. To like Africa's higher education problem. So like just a ton of different things I need to read through. Yeah, I probably need to like set aside time better to read those.
Is there specific types of content that you enjoy consuming on like media content?
Yeah. So I love reading, obviously news about what's happening on the continent. I really enjoy, I don't know, I really enjoy stories actually. So more than nonfiction, I like absolutely love fiction because I think it tells us a lot more truths about the world than fiction than nonfiction ever will. So yeah, I really, really enjoy reading fiction online as well.
Okay. Thank you very much, Audrey Cheng. This was, Audrey Cheng.
Thank you so much. I hope we didn't take up too much of your time trying to make the world a better place.
No, yeah, no, that was fun. Yeah, whatever I can do to keep supporting you guys, happy to.
Thank you for listening. If you liked it, we'd really appreciate it if you shared it and gave us your feedback. We publish a new episode every week. For more details, visit our website simplified.xyz.